In a city like Heartland, Ohio, nothing ever seems to happen, until it does. A string of brutal murders, each one more shocking than the last, has thrown the community into chaos. At first, police thought the deaths might be connected to a drug war, a power struggle between rivals. A missing DEA agent, a couple of local enforcers, a mid-level player, and a crime boss all end up dead. But then something strange happens. A woman who isn't connected to the drug war, a civilian, is murdered. As the bodies pile up, the FBI is called in and rumors begin to swirl. Is this a serial killer on the loose, or something else entirely? Hi, I'm Sarah Blake, and you're listening to Justice in the Heartland, a show where we unpack a story of murder, fear, and an inept police force in the small town of Heartland, Ohio, a community torn apart as they struggle to find the lines between right and wrong. This is episode 4, Justice or Vengeance. We hope you'll stick around as we attempt to find out who is committing these heinous crimes, as well as follow the police as they work to make an arrest and put a stop to the violence. I have to warn you, the details of this episode are explicit and detailed. They paint a very vivid picture of violence against women. If you might be bothered by graphic depictions of violence, you may want to fast forward. I'll give you a couple seconds. LaTasha Greene. To some, she was a savior. To others, a shadow lingering in the alleyways. She moved with one foot in the light, lifting up the people who were often ignored or discarded, and the other in the underworld, dealing out her own brand of justice. LaTasha was, in a way, our neighborhood's Robin Hood, redistributing wealth in ways that weren't always legal, but for many, absolutely necessary. She knew the risks of walking that line. Her reputation was one of power mixed with danger. She was both feared and respected, leaving people wondering if she was more hero than criminal, or vice versa. But when they found her drowned in the lake, dressed like she was headed to an elegant gala in her finest fur coat, but left in the water with her throat cut and needles jabbed in her arms, it felt like another statement. It wasn't just a murder, it was a message. Was this a criminal cartel moving in, or something to do with intergang rivalry? LaTasha's death raises an uncomfortable question. Did she deserve her fate? And if not, what does justice look like in a community that can't decide if she was its protector or its threat? With LaTasha's murder, the death toll now stands at 3 in just 3 weeks. 3 people, each with connections, secrets, and reputations that ran deep. And now, our community is left shaken, afraid to step outside after dark. Stores are closing early, streets are emptier than ever, and that sense of safety we used to have, the police chief, in response, has imposed a curfew, something that's already dividing the neighborhood. It's a controversial move, with some seeing it as necessary and others as just another layer of control. And for what? There's no sign the police are any closer to solving these killings.
I'll sleep better knowing she's not on these streets. She was a menace in this city and did nothing right.
She looked out for us. We were her priority. I feel lost without her here.
I didn't like her, but she kept people in line. Each day that passes without an arrest or a solid lead, it's like the message gets clearer. Whoever is doing this, they're still out there, and we're all left wondering who might be next. Tonight we'll hear from Chief Thompson as he reads a prepared statement from a recent press conference. And later we'll delve into the psyche of whoever might be doing this as I welcome Dr. Abby Chang, a professor in the Department of Psychology at State University, where she specializes in analyzing serial crimes. She'll help us break down some of the more unusual aspects of the case. First up, Police Chief Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. I have a prepared statement. Today, we stand united in acknowledging the recent events that have cast a shadow over our community. The recent death of LaTasha Greene marks the 3rd tragedy in a matter of weeks, each one striking a blow to the sense of safety and stability we hold dear. Miss Greene's role in our neighborhood was complex. She was known for her connections and influence, both lawful and otherwise, which only deepens the complexity of this case. I want to assure the community that this investigation is a top priority for the department. We are committed to seeking justice and finding answers for the families and friends affected by these losses. We ask for your patience as we conduct a thorough investigation. In light of these incidents, a temporary curfew has been enacted. This measure, while not taken lightly, is intended to provide some degree of reassurance and to help ensure everyone's safety as we work through the next stages of this investigation. We know that the lack of answers is frustrating, and we're aware of the fear and concerns this curfew has raised. Our goal is not to instill fear, but to promote caution. This remains a collaborative effort between law enforcement and the community. We ask for your support, your trust, and any information that may be relevant to this case. If anyone knows anything that could aid in bringing this to a resolution, we urge you to come forward. Thank you.
Diving deep into the mystery surrounding LaTasha Greene's shocking death and the unsettling wave of fear gripping the city. Tonight, I'm honored to have Dr. Abby Chang with us. Dr. Chang is a highly respected professor and expert on the psychology of serial murderers. Known for her incisive analyses and deep insight into criminal pathology, Dr. Chang has written 2 acclaimed books on the subject, Patterns of Predation and The Psychology of the Serial Killer. Her expertise covers not only the motivations and behavioral patterns common among serial offenders, but also the societal and the psychological impacts of serial crimes. At State University, Dr. Chang teaches an advanced course on serial murder for doctoral candidates, where she challenges students to critically analyze case studies, criminological theories, and investigative techniques. Her class is popular among students drawn to forensic psychology, criminal justice, and sociology, all fields where her approach to the subject, balancing academic rigor with sensitivity to the tragic outcomes of such crimes, has earned her significant respect. Dr. Chang's insights are often sought after in high-profile cases, making her a trusted figure both in academia and in public discussions about crime and safety. Dr. Chang, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. Quite the introduction.
Dr. Chang, with 3 deaths in as many weeks, our listeners are trying to make sense of this. Some are saying the police think this is the work of an organized crime, and one of your colleagues outlined how it might be a cartel.
Colleague? Hardly, but I don't think it's either. Organized crime syndicates are businesses at their core. Their goal is profit and control, not reckless violence. When they resort to murder, it's typically quiet and clinical. They avoid drawing public attention. It's bad for business and attracts law enforcement scrutiny. They're more likely to bury a body in a remote location, or, as the saying goes, sleep with the fishes. This upheaval in Heartland, it's not beneficial to them. It lacks the strategic restraint that organized crime typically employs. As for cartels, they're infamous for brutality, yes, but their killings follow a different pattern. Cartels make loud statements, public violence, distinct calling cards, recognizable tactics. They want everyone to know who's responsible. Here in Heartland, these killings are disciplined, almost reserved. There's a calculated precision in each one, lacking the chaotic, intimidating style of cartels.
So, you think this might be someone local? A lone wolf, maybe? Or someone with a partner?
A lone wolf would be a bit simplistic, Sarah. This individual has a level of skill far beyond the average killer. A vigilante is more likely, though even that term doesn't fully capture it. The killings have been executed with military efficiency, quick, quiet, and leaving almost no trace. We're dealing with someone disturbingly methodical, with likely tactical, military, or law enforcement training. I suspect the first. And let's not overlook the fact that these weren't just messages. They were corrections of what this person believes are society's wrongs.
You're saying this person thinks they're on a mission, correcting mistakes?
Precisely. This isn't about profit or power. This is about someone with a self-righteous sense of moral superiority. They've targeted specific individuals, not impulsively, but as a part of a deliberate agenda. This isn't the behavior of a cartel hitman, nor the cautious approach of organized crime. These actions suggest someone with a twisted sense of purpose, aiming to make a statement, but only to those they deem deserving of it. This vigilante is following a calculated code. They're committed to their path, and unless stopped, will likely see more of this grim work.
How did you come up with this theory? Can you help our listeners understand why you think this is the case?
Theory? Please, the evidence is right in front of you. My focus is purely on psychological and sociological frameworks. No dramatic storytelling here. This case requires clinical precision. If we're truly interested in understanding, rather than perpetuating fear or sensationalism, we must consider the facts.
Right. Dr. Chang, you're the expert on all these types of killings. Can you tell us more about the killer? Why do you think they kill in such elaborate ways?
Well, Sarah, when we deal with killers like this, we're often looking at someone with a meticulous need for control. Someone who has a heightened, if twisted, sense of morality. They may have a violent past, maybe they've witnessed or been a victim of crime themselves, which would be common in communities like Heartland. This background makes them feel they're correcting society's wrongs.
So, you think they could have a military or law enforcement background?
He or she, yes, it's quite possible. A tactical background would explain the elaborate methods. This suggests a strong belief in consequences and order. Maybe in their mind, they're delivering justice.
But what's the point they're trying to make?
That's the part we can't say with certainty. But one thing's clear. They believe they're righting some wrong. This isn't random rage. This person is driven by a purpose, however twisted. In their mind, they're a necessary force in a place that's lacked justice.
So they see themselves as judge, jury, and executioner?
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. Based on your podcast, Sarah, I'd say you've become something of a mirror for this person. You both know how to frame a narrative. Yours about a broken system, theirs about punishing those who deserve it. You paint a picture with words, and they paint theirs with blood. You empathize with victims of crime, making it clear that the justice system isn't working, that certain people slip through the cracks. This is exactly the kind of thinking that resonates with our killer. They're driven by a very personal moral code, much like you, but instead of talking about it, they're acting on it. You give them a voice without even realizing it. And I suspect, Sarah, that you understand their brand of justice a little too well. You've been walking a fine line between storyteller and enabler, haven't you? And now you're attracting attention. The killer may be listening. In their mind, you might be just one step away from becoming part of their narrative.
That's a disturbing thought. Thank you, Dr. Chang. I think we've covered a lot today.
One more thing. This killer's patterns, they're not random. The choice of victims connects to the community's fractures. The careful nature of these crimes, it's not just about eliminating threats. It's about sending a message. And that's what makes it so dangerous. The killer's not just seeking retribution. They're shaping the narrative of what's right and wrong.
That's chilling.
Chilling, yes, but also telling. The next victim will likely fit this same pattern. This is only the beginning.
One last thing, Dr. Chang. If the killer sees himself as a vigilante, do you think they're justified?
Justified? Killers like this follow a twisted sense of justice. They're not aligned with the law, but they believe they're righting wrongs that have gone unpunished. Whether that justifies the violence, that's a far darker, more complex question, and I'm not sure anyone can truly answer that.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. This has been invaluable.
You're welcome. It's a complex case, Sarah. But remember, serial killers are like puzzles, and every piece of the pattern matters.
As we wrap up this episode, I wanted to bring the concern of my producer to your attention. After tonight's conversation with Dr. Chang, I got a message from Julia, and she thinks I'm getting too close to this case.
You have one unheard message. First unheard message sent yesterday at 7:15 p.m.
Sarah, hey, it's Julia. I need you to listen to me. This
This isn't just a story anymore. You're getting too close. I mean, you are too close. Dr. Chang said as much. You are in danger. I know you want the truth, but this case is changing you. I can tell. It's, not just a job anymore for you. It's, I don't know, it's personal. I can feel it. And it's not a good thing. It's starting to take over. I'm worried about you, Sarah. You're not thinking clearly. Please just take a step back. We need you for the show, and we need you whole, you know. I'm sorry. I'm concerned. I need you to be careful. Just remember, this isn't your fight. It's a story. That's all, okay? Okay, I love you. I know she's just looking out for me, but someone needs to answer 3 questions. Do you want to know why I fight? It's not just for me. It's for them. The ones who never got a chance. The ones left behind in the rubble. What do you think, listeners? Am I getting too close to this case? Let me know what you think. Join in the conversation by leaving a comment or question below. Join us next time as the case intensifies.
Look, kid, with Rossi dead, there's a lot that people don't realize about him. Tony Rossi wasn't just some thug peddling drugs on the corner. Nah, he operated like a machine, precise, ruthless. You don't get to the top like that unless you're as cold as they come. He didn't care who got hurt as long as he stayed in control. It was all about power. You understand? Rossi's empire, though, it wasn't as solid as it looked.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe in your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to like, follow, and share. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind these violent crimes and what they reveal about the heart of Heartland. You won't want to miss it.